The Last Ronin comic book. This takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been defeated and only one of them remain. That lone turtle is known as the Last Ronin. He embarks on a dangerous mission of revenge to take out those responsible for the downfalls of his brothers. It's a gritty and intense story. The artwork is amazing and the action scenes are epic. I've seen quite a few amazing Ninja Turtle customs over the years. But when I had the idea to do a Ninja Turtle custom, I thought to myself, how about I do something a little bit different? And that's when I found The Last Ronin. Art.com. Let's get it. We start with the first phase of mock-ups. Yes, I said the first phase. I initially wanted to do this design on a Panda Dunk, and I played around with colorways. I didn't know if I wanted to include an actual picture on the shoe. I played around with the swoosh some, and I even designed this Ninja Turtle shell to go on the back of the Dunk, and I thought it would have been really cool. But for some reason, I just couldn't find a design with the Dunk that just spoke to me. So I scratched it and I started over. So fast forward to 2023, last year, I remembered that I still had my other command force that I needed to do a design on, and I thought that this Ronin custom would be perfect for it. And for the most part, I decided to keep the colorway fairly simple, just reminiscing of the Last Ronin, and instead of doing pictures, I decided that I would be making all of his weapons and including that on the back of the shoe. So let's get started. I decided to give Preppy the day off and do these myself because I'm not going to be wearing them, but I just wanted to make sure that the paint would adhere so nothing would rip up when I started to take the tape off. Like I do most of my base coats, I like to start with the brush and then move on to the airbrush for that smooth, buttery finish. Adding the highlights and the shadows really brought a sense of depth and darkness to the shoe. So once I got the base coat down for the skin color, again, I needed to go and add some of those highlights and those bright speckled colors just so I could get a more realistic skin feel. But I noticed that I did something wrong here, and as you can see in the picture in the right corner, I went all the way down to the midsole of the shoe, but I only taped off the toe box. So I had to start over and fix it. Which is no problem, baby. No problem at all. We just enjoying the journey. I got ahead of myself and painted the brown leather part before I actually made the pouches and the holsters for his weapons. But I did that using a piece of leather. I glued everything in the place that I wanted, and then I added the stitching to it just so it could look more realistic. And after that, I removed the paint from the back part and glued them onto the shoe so I can get a good strong bond. I made a bunch of greaves and patches and things to go on the shoe as well, just using extra pieces of leather, folding it over, and using my hole punch to create little buttons. I think it looked pretty good. Then I took it over to my airbrush booth and sprayed on that final coat. In one section of the comic, Ronin had just got whooped up on and he had bandages on him, and I liked that little detail, so I decided to add some of my own. I ain't trying to stay up on that wide road cause I can't let him take the bandage across the toe box I wasn't really feeling, so I decided to just move it up to the tongue of the shoe. No. I can't let him take my soul. No. Now it is time to make all of these weapons, in which I did scope myself in Nomad Scope. Again, I wish Nomad Scope would create a feature that automatically records the progress that you do in there, like Procreate, but I got screenshots. I recorded some of it, but you know, some of these clips were like 30 minutes long, and there's no way I'm finna have a 30-minute clip on here. So here's just some bits and pieces to give you guys an idea of the journey that I went on to create these. I also created Ronin's book that meant a lot to him, and I forgot to include in my final pictures, but you guys know that I did make it. I know in the video I already painted the actual back part, but I didn't want to show you guys the weapons yet before I showed you guys the process of me making the weapons. But everything fit perfectly, and let's get right over into the sanding and painting process. I was hyped that these joints actually worked. I don't know about y'all. So I did want to add just a little bit more color into the shoe. So I cut out pieces of a t-shirt and painted them the original color turtles, and I added those to the final product, in which you will see. I also sculpted Ronin's glasses that he wears, and I painted them up, put a little UV resin in the lens, and here are the final results. I want to give a huge shout out to those that are subscribed to me on Patreon, and shout out to those who are subscribed to me on Instagram as well. I appreciate y'all. And remember guys, always enjoy the journey.